On this happy Monday. Obviously you guys have had ample more opportunities like last week to be on the call with Megan and Amanda. I got to catch some of that recording and it was super phenomenal. They did a great job. And as you all know, we were in Mexico last week. So I wanted to jump off this call just by polling and asking you guys, what does it stir in you? What feelings does it bring up for you when you see trips like the Emerald Extravaganza and the Diamond documentaries? When you see that is real, like, you know me and you know Kim and Jody, and we were there, like that was a real place that was really free. All of the things. What does that bring up in your heart, in your mind? Some things might be positive, some things might be negative, but I would love to hear from you guys because I remember being in that place. I remember watching, for 18 months of my journey and being like, no way, So let's share that with each other. What does that mean to you, for you and your families, for your future? What does that feel like when you see those trips? Don't everyone shout at once.
I'll say I think for us, those are things that we would love to enjoy, but almost don't set aside the money or the time to actually go and do that. And so to be given something like that that's free for you to just kind of take advantage of is kind of here, I'm handing this to you, take this, enjoy it, have fun with it, because you've earned it. And I don't know, to me it's even more rewarding, and it's we're not really going to sit down and plan something like that, or even really put all of our extra money into something like that at this stage of life. Yeah. So it's a big deal for us.
I love that. I feel like that too. A lot of times, if someone isn't setting that stuff up for me, I'm always going to figure something else that we should be doing or that we could be doing instead of taking the time to do those kinds of things for us and for ourselves. And sometimes it's forced seasons of rest or forced seasons of pouring into your marriage. Sometimes we just need those guided hands to say, here, have this, That's so good. So true. Who else?
I would say, Sally, it's definitely worth working for. It's not like you just said. I don't know. It just brought to me it's not impossible. It is really achievable if we work, and it's hard. But if we put the time and effort in, it will be, I don't know. It stirred a lot in me. Wow.
I love that. And it's so true too. I was talking with another friend who's contemplating getting started in this business. And one of the things that I love about Mexico, and sometimes depending on whose pictures you're looking at and whose, socials you're following, you may not see this, but y'all, there is a wide age range. There is a wide background range. There is a wide everything range of the people who are on these trips. And that's because it's not just a Gen Z game. The people who started the very first jewels are still attending these trips in their 80s. Coach and his wife and Miss Deborah, they're in their late 70s and early 80s. Sheila Medina is, I'm not going to say how old she is on here. She's looking amazing, but she is not 20 anymore. You know what I mean? And so what I love about that is it's still the same things that they did to get where they are that we're doing today, and it crosses all generations and backgrounds and whatever's. Nobody looks like and nobody comes from the same thing. We've all got our own story to tell, and we can all work for it. And that gives us the belief to be able to share that also with any and everyone who's willing to just show up and do the things, right? You don't have to fit a certain mold for that, which I love. And I would love to do a couple more before we move on to the next part.
Well, for me, we love to travel as a couple. So I love what everybody always said. Nobody can do it as Plexus. So you see all of this, and we love, because in Mexico, so we are Hispanic, so we love that kind of stuff. But I think part of me, it's dreaming that, but in the season that I am right now, it's really hard for me to even imagine that I can accomplish. So sometimes I quit before, I'm like, okay, who is going to take care of my kids and who is going to do this? So I think I have to overcome that thought and just believe that it's not just the incentive of the trip, it's what this is building for my family in the long term. So the mindset is been switching little by little, like just continue to see that we all have the same opportunity.
Right.
We just have to work for it.
I love that. And I know I've shared this with you guys before, but I remember when I was going for my first Emerald Extravaganza and I missed it, right? It was, I guess, probably it was not even a year into my journey, but like knew that I wasn't going to be able to hit it for the trip, because the trip cutoff is July 31st every year, right? And I remember Abby being like, well, don't slow down now. And I was like, well, I'll just be able to, I'll definitely hit it by next year. And she was like, why are you putting off going Emerald? That's like so many thousands of extra dollars for your family. Don't you need a new car? Like, don't you need this money? Who cares about Hawaii? And I was like, oh yeah. Like, we can get so focused on well, I'm not going to get the iPad, or well, I'm not going to do the thing. And so then we just stop, which is so normal. You're not alone if those are your thought process, but we have to, like Mary said, push past that and say like, well, signing 1 is better than signing 0, and signing 6 is better, or signing, 6 is better than not even trying, because I don't think I can sign 10, but what if you're going for the no? What if you just keep going? And if you do earn the trip, when you get there and when that time comes, you never know who the Lord's going to put in your path to take care of your babies, or who you're going to get to bring on that trip with you, or the extra funds. You might be able to bring the whole family. That's what I had to do my first year. So it's so true. Just be faithful in the little things now and believe big things and work for the big things. And then you'll be able to figure that out when it comes. And it'll be like, oh man, we just earned a free trip. We got to figure this out. All right, let us move on, unless I don't want to cut someone off. Was anyone wanting to share their thoughts and feelings? Because I love hearing from you. All right, well, let's pass it over to Kim. We had some really obviously fun times. Y'all, being down here in the South, and a lot of our team is way far away from us, and our top leaders, all of them are way far away from me. And so we talk a lot on social media, as we all do. But it was such a gift to be able to spend time together in such hilarious and ways where it's not, in convention, we're all running around like crazy people. And so there's many, many fun moments, but just to get to know each other on a deeper level. But Tarl and Alec talked a lot in we only have 2 meetings during Emerald Extravaganza, because, you gotta be able to write it off on your taxes. They gotta have some meetings. But just talked a lot about moments and how our life is just a series of moments, and each moment is what we make of it. We can either choose to overlook moments that are special, or we can choose to really, dig in and appreciate the moments that can lead to bigger things. So Kim and I wanted to just share some funny or meaningful moments like that we, had personally, and then we'll talk about some of our business takeaways in just a little bit, but we figured we'd break those 2 things up, because it is, this is so much, as much about the community and the friendships that we gain here as it is obviously about the financial freedom and us working our business. Like it's still such a gift. Okay, go Kim.
Okay, hi. I would say some of my personal takeaways. A few thoughts, I guess. One, this trip is unique in that it really does provide rest. You know, it's honestly, it was the second week of September. It is like the most horrible time in the world for me to leave my family because we're just getting into the school routine. We're just getting into all this. And it's like a horrible time to leave and try to figure out all the logistics. I totally relate to you, Mary. I asked that question, who's going to take care of my kids every time I have to try and do this? But God provides those people, and it's been such a gift to us. But it's also the best time for us to leave, I feel like, because sometimes when you are in those busy, crazy seasons, you need to take a step back and pause. And so this trip really did provide that for me and for Mason. And it's beyond anything we could do for ourselves on our own, but Plexus goes above and beyond to let you know that you're heard, you're cared for, you're appreciated, and it's just a really cool environment to be in. And you know, that's just from like the bigger events that they do for everybody, for the receptions. They are just beautiful and over the top. But it's also in those little moments where we can sit by the pool and just have a conversation about our families, about what's going on in our own lives, or, you know, those moments where you can just be and connect with other people is really special. And yes, we have social media and so many different ways to connect with people these days, but there is still nothing like being with someone in the flesh and having conversations in person, and to be able to have experiences together that aren't just work related, but that are fun too. And we definitely had a lot of those moments too in Mexico. So I'm really grateful for that. I also love that this is a trip that my husband can come on with me. And it's a way for him to see more of what Plexus is all about. You know, he sees things, he hears things that I tell him, but it really helps him catch a vision for what I'm doing, what we're doing as a couple, as a family, and it really helps him be more invested in it. And it makes us, I feel like, more of a team in this. And so that's something else I really personally appreciate about this trip. And I think that's true anytime you can bring your husband on one of these trips, whether it's leaders retreat or something else. I do think that it's valuable for the same reason. But this is just a time where this is a trip that really works for Mason to be able to come with me. That doesn't always work for those other things. So I guess that's why I say that for this in particular. Something else about that though, just a quick thought, is just you know, when we're there, like, we just want you guys to be there with us. Like, we just think, oh, wouldn't so and so just love this, or wouldn't this be so fun if they were here? And it does make us, while we're having fun, we also miss you and want you to be there. And it's inspiring for me too, to help you guys however I can when we get home. Like, how can I help them get here? And so that is something else that's just personally something I feel when I go on these trips. It's just something I want to share with you. So yeah, I don't know.
Yay.
Go ahead, Sal.
I do want to take a break before I share mine. Did you guys see anything or have questions about the trip anything that you saw on social media or things that you're curious about, like, how does that work? Or what was happening when y'all were doing this? Because I think those are always fun to like get an inside scoop on things that you're just curious about.
Sally, do the emeralds go a certain amount and then the diamonds stay longer?
Yes. So
Okay.
the Emerald Extravaganza, so all jewels that either go emerald for the first time, or any jewels that have previously gone emerald, you just have to rank. Usually it's 5 months out of the calendar year. So July 31st is the cutoff for the trip. So then the new calendar year starts August. So August, September, October, November, December, if you're ranking jewel, or you've got until the next July 31st to get your 5 months in. So all emeralds and above are invited to the Emerald Extravaganza, which was that first kind of 5-day period. And we have the welcome reception always. And then there's usually 2 meetings during that time, and then a closing kind of final party for the Emerald Extravaganza. And then I think next year they're going to have maybe an additional day that sapphires will get to stay, and they kind of get some upgraded experiences potentially during that time as well. But then the diamond destination is an additional 3 days that we all get to stay. So in some venues, like in Mexico and I can't remember last year. Were we in a different place last year than y'all? Yes.
Yes.
All of the years that I've been diamonds have stayed in a different resort that's like right next to or super close to the Emerald Extravaganza. So we're just like either taking a shuttle or you're walking over kind of thing. But I think next year in Maui, we're all going to be together at the Emerald Extravaganza resort, and then the diamonds will move for their last bit of their trip and have like a separate resort that we're in for just those 3 days. So that'll be interesting. Before I went diamond, they used to do it on the front end, and it was like somewhere different, and then they would come be a part of Emerald Extravaganza part. But everyone was like, can we do it on the backside so we can end the trip with like all of the rest and less people instead of like all of the fun stuff in the beginning? So yes, that is a great question. That is kind of how that works. Mary said, do you have a flexible schedule? Can you do whatever you want? Are the tours part of the Plexus Extravaganza, or did you pay for them? So the great thing, and just how these trips work in general, it's like convention is balls to the wall. Sorry, I say that and I don't feel like it's offensive, but it kind of is, I guess. It's, it's crazy. We're all doing stuff all the time. We're like having a party every minute, or we're in sessions, right? Huge high energy thing. Leaders retreat is kind of a step closer to a retreat. There is still a lot of incredible leadership training. There's going to be different levels of like parties and receptions, but there's more rest built into that retreat because it is an earned trip. And then you level up even more with the Emerald Extravaganza, and 80% of that trip is free time. So you will just see everybody hanging out by the pool or hanging out by the beach or scheduling massage or things like that. Usually in the past, Plexus does like a jewel gift at those events. So like some years it's been like the shoes or the sunglasses or a $200 Tiffany gift card, which we were all like, what do you buy at Tiffany? Who even knows? But this year, instead of that, they did an excursion experience that they paid for. So everyone got to pick their excursion. So one of my things that is like personally what I loved about this past trip was just being able to be reminded, like, as adults, we have a lot of responsibility on our shoulders, whether or not you have kids, whether or not you have a spouse, like doesn't matter. Like we're all carrying a lot of weight of responsibility. And sometimes it's just nice to remember what it feels like to have fun and to not have worry on your shoulders all the time. Right. And so I forget how spontaneous and fun I can be until I'm in scenarios like this, where I'm like, if someone's dying, I'm not there, like if someone has fallen off their bed somewhere, it's not me who's catching them right now. And so day by day, those weights just fall off, and I'm able to like actually have fun and laugh and look stupid. And I think that our hearts need that more often than we give it to them, for sure. But zip lining the day that we got to go, that was the excursion that Kim and Mason and Brandon and I chose, was that eco park. And so we went around to all these different cenotes, and they were beautiful. And some of them had like zip lining and canoeing. And I'm not hugely adventurous, and I don't really love heights, and I don't like water I can't see underneath, but you could really see is very clear water. And so I was just living my best life, like jumping off of these lines, screaming like an idiot, like everyone's laughing at me. And I'm just like, who cares? Like, this is so fun. I was trying to do a backflip over one of them, and I was so not strong enough, but like, I just felt like a kid again, and it's just so good. And to be able to experience that with your friends or with your spouse, like, you just kind of remember why you like people, other than just like, oh yeah, that's the person who tells me what to do all the time. You know what I mean? It's just so different. But yeah, so the majority of that, and then Diamond Destination, it was like all free time. We have one diamond meeting those last 3 days, and then we have like a beginning and ending reception. And it's just like nobody bothers you, and you just get to lay there and read a book or, do whatever you want. So yes, it truly is a gift of rest, and it definitely feels like an extravagant luxury, even just in the amount of time that you have to yourself. So yes. What else? These are fun. These are way funner than anything else. Any other specific questions or things that you saw? All right. Well, I will say one of my other fun moments was Scott, the Diamond documentary guy, was there. Y'all that were at convention, we all got to yell, and that was part of a Diamond documentary. He came to our house a couple of months ago, and we filmed the majority of it just here by ourselves at our house. But he came to the pool that one day. If you've been seeing all of the like really blue pictures of me, Kim, Jody, and Josie in the pool, he came that day. So we all tried to wear our most slimming swimsuits, being on video, slick back hair and everything. But I don't know if it will be in there, but you guys saw that we did the Martha Washington hairdo in the pool, where you like dip your head over and you do like the doo-doo roll of Martha Washington around your hair. And like, I just love that they did that with me, and that he videoed that, and just they thought it was hysterical. And we'll see if it ends up in the final cut or not. But just moments like that are things that I'll never forget, of like feeling like we're like 12-year-old little girls, playing in the pool, doing handstands. Josie had her little girl there, and Kim and I almost died. Like, she kept wanting to race. But she kept making up these races where it was like, okay, now you have to do flips all the way from this end to that end. And it's like, okay, I am way too old for this. I got halfway through and was like dizzy as all get out. But just moments like that where it was just fun. And then sharing meals together, obviously very fun. But one of the neatest things I will say was for Brandon, because where we are, like, I think we would want all of our spouses to be able to have like a mentor in their life, or men that have, like we always want those Pauls and Timothys, whatever that tree is of people that have gone before you and people that come after you. But when you're in ministry, a lot of times you're just pouring out a lot, or people are always looking to you for answers. And so this trip, is always surrounded by a lot of just really wise men who like just love to talk about godly things and stewardship over their homes and their families, financial stewardship, like all of these like really big adult like Christian men things. And it is just so refreshing also, and stirring for him in those moments, especially because he's like, oh, okay, this is what it feels like to have that iron sharpening iron, and that pouring into me too, so I also love that for him. But yes, let's see, how many times did it take her to do the first take? So with the Martha Washington, you only got one take, because we did the reverse thing also, like I did in the reel. And so we had to be dry to go down, And then once we were wet, we were wet. You know what I mean? So we were like, we only get one shot at this. So we had to make it count. Okay. It's 9:30 already, but we do have some business takeaways, Kim. We may need to narrow down our list because I don't want to keep everyone forever and just talk about our trip and ourselves. But we want to have fruitful things because exactly what Kim said on her last point before is so true. I think it is just every time I go on those trips, I'm just like, I want you guys to know that this is real and it is worth working for. And what does it mean to be worth working for is different than what it feels like. Like the road to Emerald, when you're actually going for it and you're all in going for it, is fast and furious, and it can be fun and it can be frustrating, but it is so rewarding because your activity has direction and you have goals in mind. And that's what we desire for you. I don't want you to be on the plane that has no destination, just doing the hamster wheel work and just hoping that it's going to get you, to your next rank. Like, we want you to have clear direction on where you want to go, what you're doing this for within the walls of your home, within the walls of your heart, so that you can move forward with intentionality and see the fruit of your labor as your business grows in order to earn trips like this. So Kim's going to share a couple of her takeaways because there are obviously moments where we're just learning from each other. You're sitting next to people that inspire you, and also hearing from a lot of other ambassadors in those meetings as well.
Okay, I'm gonna try and wrap this so we can make this fast. Because I want to be conscientious of your time too. This is something I feel like I took away from Mexico, but it's also, I've been listening to some other leaders that are just doing really well with Plexus right now. And this is something they're hammering home too. And it's something we know, but I feel like this is kind of fresh for me. Just the idea of mindset is like it. That is the game. It is not the other things. Mindset is what is going to make or break if you're going to be successful or not. So don't neglect making sure you are putting good things in. You're surrounding yourself with positive people that believe in you and encourage you and support you. And just don't even be around the other things. So it has really challenged me to make sure I am putting good things in my brain and in my heart. And so that is my number one thing. And my other thing I want to say would be, this is something they talked about in one of our Emerald meetings, the idea of burning the boat. They talked about this in terms of don't look back. There's no way out. You only move forward. You're not going back where you came from. And I thought this was just a really helpful phrase, but also a visual, and just thinking if I want to grow, if I want to continue to grow, then I need to be committed to move forward, and whatever that takes. And we know what it takes. We know what it takes to be successful. We share it with everyone all the time, and we should be doing it all the time as well ourselves. We need to be posting on social media, and we need to be messaging people and following up with them about the products, but about the business too. If we want to grow healthy, thriving businesses, we need to be doing those things. So that was something that was yes, I am going to take this home because yeah, I want to keep growing my business, and I still care about sharing these products with people because, guys, we have something that is so life-changing that people people need this. And people also need an additional source of income. Like, people need this opportunity as well. And what a beautiful thing to be able to offer them something with integrity and with value, and something that is going to make a difference in their life and the lives of the other people that they can share with too. Like, this is not the case for everything in the world. And the fact we have something like this is a special, special thing. So, anyway, burn the boat. That's number 2. I'm going to just break it down to number 3 and then we're done. This was something we had, Phil Jones. I don't know if you guys have heard of this guy, but Phil M. Jones, I believe is what he goes by, his middle initial too. So he is a like best-selling author about like all kinds of things, but a lot of it is about words and like what to say. But this was something he just said in our little talk. It's not something to say necessarily, but he shared something that I think is really helpful, but it's something we hear too. He said that fear is fertilizer to success. And I just think that's really important. Like, if you guys have been a part of any Jessica Heffley training or anything, you know that her mantra in life is do it scared. And she encourages everyone to do it scared. And that just means try new things that are out of your comfort zone, right? And so anyway, I think that this idea of recognizing that fear is necessary to be successful. So we need to move into those places where we feel uncomfortable or fearful in order to grow and to become successful. We have to work through that and overcome it, because this is something else Jessica says, but she's like, you do it and then you realize you didn't die, right? You didn't die. You were scared, but you didn't die. So I think that is something to just really, something I've been sitting on and want to really challenge myself in, is to recognize those places where I'm afraid, but recognize that it's something that I need to move past in order to be successful and to grow. So, all right, that's what I got.
Okay. And quickly, just my takeaways that I wanted to share with you are super similar. I've been kind of leaking them out through the business thread and things like that. So a lot of you saw my slice of bread head post today. You guys, it's not about being perfect on social media. It's just about being visible. Okay. It's about being excited for other people and being excited to reach your goals. I think a big misconception that even I have fallen into, this whole new world of social media of like, you have to add value. You need to be really, make it cute, this whole thing. Not only does it make us second guess, a lot of times it makes me post things that have no purpose. Do you know what I mean? Like, just to make sure I get a post up, and it's like, am I really asking anybody to do anything with this? Like, is this taking anybody to the next step if they see this, And I think we just gone through this, like, I don't want to be salesy, or I don't want to like barf all over people, and literally sitting around the pool with all diamonds, and even like talking through emeralds and stuff too. And it's just like, how did we get here? We posted 3 and 4 times a day. We constantly talked about the products to literally everyone who would listen. And it works. Why? Because people actually do need this stuff. They may not want to hear it or see it like the first few times, but we're all feeling the way that we feel inside. And it takes time for people to be exposed to something and be courageous enough to say yes to it. But we are the ones that have to put ourselves out there and put the information and the ask out there. The ask, not your, Heine. in order to actually help people move to the next level. And I think that was one of the things that I like triggered myself. Christina Williams, who, she is like my spirit animal because she is like opposite personality of me in all the ways. But she was just like, y'all, like, you have got to understand what it feels like to wake up with the intent to have activity that pays you first. Who's paying your bills? Who's saving up for a wedding? Who's X, Y, and Z for your kids? Nobody else on social media, and none of their thoughts, none of their feelings, none of their issues or problems or judgments pay for your dreams or pay for your bills. They are not setting you free. They are not doing you any favors. So when you wake up and when you go to do activity, don't start with, what do other people want to see from me? Because all they want to see is you either struggling like they are or something that's just going to make them feel better about themselves. We are here to change people's lives, starting with yours. Because when we're talking about people who need this business, I've been in conversations with all of you, and you need it too. You want it for your family. You need this and want this to work for you. And so when you go to do your daily IPA and you get that IPA sheet out, what of those activities and how are you going to craft that message in order to grow your paycheck? Because it's never separate from making an impact on that person. You get to do that and have that attitude because everything that you do impacts that other person in a positive way, right? You don't have to worry about being loving and kind. I know all of you, right? You do have to bump it up when it comes to putting your goals on the line, putting your children's faces maybe above your IPA sheet, or putting your future goals above your desk or whatever it is, and say, I'm doing this for that. I'm doing this for them. And you don't know it yet here on Instagram and Facebook world, but it's for you too. But first it's for this, right? So are we posting and are we having messages and conversations with the intent to actually move people through that process and have them order, to actually grow your points? Or are we just kind of throwing stuff out there hoping that it's going to happen? And I was like, because Chief right here talking to myself. Just let me just make a reel and hopefully it's cute and people will like it. Well, who the crap cares if it's not doing anybody any good and it's not helping our family either, right? Like, whatever. Why is it for? Okay. Secondly, I loved Phil M. Jones, and I think we will potentially do one of his books. It was a Plexus book study a couple of months ago. There's exactly what to say, exactly how to sell. He has this whole like exactly line, and he's really great to follow on social media. Also has a British accent, which is super fun. But he really was so great about reminding us how terrible we are at just having conversations with people. Like, it's about listening 80% of the time. It's about asking questions. And he said something, and I didn't write it down, of course. But the whole thing of like, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. And he's like, you don't have to be fake to do that. You just have to ask questions, right? Like, we can take the guesswork out of what people want out of their life or what they're going through simply by just saying, tell me more about that. That is so interesting. What do you mean? Like, how do like, it doesn't have to be insightful. It's just like, tell me more. Keep telling me all the things, because by the end of our conversations, just by listening and asking super simple questions to keep people talking, we can uncover ways that we can be solution oriented in their life. And they're basically selling themselves to you because they're telling you exactly what they want and what they're looking for in their life and all of these things. So it's like, you don't have to be an expert and know all of the things to type, and you don't have to be an expert salesperson. Sales is just about listening and figuring out what people want and then saying, cool, since you said that, I actually have an incredible solution for you. Silver platter, here it is, right? And we are having the intent to actually move people along in that mindset. Huge, huge, huge. I love that Kim brought that up. There was I want to say, is she the first diamond in Mexico? Anyway, one of the new diamonds that was there.
Yes, she was.
She's the very first diamond from our Mexico market. And she said her whole journey, she wanted to double rank and she never did. And she was the only ones left were sapphire and diamond, and that she wanted to do it. And she said, I literally had to only listen to people who thought it was also possible, who were excited to try and who were excited to run with me. She's like, I had to stop listening to anyone who was like, yeah, that would be nice, but that's not our thing. You know, like, even if it's not negative, if it's not belief building and sending you towards what God is calling you to, or what you need for yourself and for your family, like, shut that out. You know what I'm saying? Get it out of there. It's not fruitful. There is a reason the Lord tells us to take our thoughts captive. And there's a reason that Jessica Heffley is great at what she does, because she teaches us to take our thoughts captive. It's got to be simple, but it is one of the hardest things that we will deal with. But mindset. Okay. I hope some of that was fun and fruitful for you. And I hope it's encouraging. I never want you guys to walk away from these calls, but seeing us on those trips, like, you're not allowed to think that it's not possible for you. Okay. You're just not allowed to think that. You are allowed to think that you're not willing to work for it to be possible for you, but that's just about it that you have control over. Okay. If you are willing to work for it and willing to grow and you don't quit, like, seriously, y'all, the sky is the limit. And we see it time and time again. It doesn't matter if we've had valleys and dips and it takes longer here. I got stuck at Emerald for 3 years. Like, why? I had some humbling things that I needed to work through in my business, and I needed to take care of people better, and I needed to get new people started and not just bank on the same people that I signed up, you know, the year prior to carry me through. That's not how it works. People have lives and seasons too. But if this is what God's called you to, if this is where you're choosing to move forward because he's put it in front of you, then you keep moving forward and watch who he puts in that forward process with you, and you keep going. The fact that I'm here for 8 years, proof of that. Like, never done anything this long in my life. And here we are, still on Zoom. Okay. Coming up this Thursday night on the calendar, it says Real Income, Real Impact. We had a little scheduling snafu with one of the Jules that was getting her people together, and she thought it was Real People, Real Stories. So we're doing a twofer this month on Real People, Real Stories, which, who's mad about that? Not me. We love Real People, Real Stories. Good to go. Thursday night is going to be Real People, Real Stories, which means I have a graphic to make. We will be getting that post up tomorrow, verbiage, all of the things, something that we can be inviting people to and using as a means to actually move them along in the process and say, okay, which one of those did you resonate with? If we could see the same things happen in your life, wouldn't it be worth trying? Great. Let's get you started. Yes. Tomorrow starts the 3-day slim sample event. If you haven't been added into that thread yet, you can let Stephanie know, or Kim or we can get you added in. These are neat. Kim's team does these, I think, at least once a month. And I think it's great. Always a good reason to get product into someone's hand. Obviously, the longer you wait, the more local it becomes. But it's like a messenger event with great information, and you're getting the product into someone's hand. They know it tastes great. 3 days isn't going to change their life. Hopefully, we're telling them that for sure. But 9 times out of 10, people are just curious what it tastes like and if they can do it. So we're telling them, tastes great. It's simple. If you don't like that flavor, let's try a different one when we actually get you your stuff, right? And they're going to learn great things in that thread. Don't forget and don't sleep on the double credits this month. I don't care if you haven't signed 6 people all year. Go for it. Get in conversations. Reach back out to people who can get restarted because they've been off their products for over a year. Whatever you have to do, if you want to go to Punta Cana, get on the stick with these double credits. Make sure anyone you signed last month is ordering again. Stephanie Payton had a great idea. If you notice on our thread on the business page, we were sharing just some ideas. Like, if it was going to be easy and no drama to sign 10 to 20 people this month, what would you do? And that's another thing Christina said. She was like, I started looking at myself and I was like, if I was going to, totally resurrect, my recruiting and my business, what are the things that I know would be helpful? And she was like, okay, in-person events. Yes. Like more messaging. Yes. Like better better and more posting? Yes, probably. And she named like 3 other things. And she was like, so I started doing all of those things because I know they all work. And guess what? She was one of the top credit earners for the cruise, right? And she had like 40 people on her team earn it because we know the things that help us grow. A lot of times we just don't want to do it, or we're like, yeah, but I can't do this, or yeah, but I can't. And it's just like, but if I could, what would it look like? And then go do it because you can. Contest credit wise, $150 regimens get you more credits. So Reset and Triplex is a great go-to. It helps people get started better and is going to get you that higher level of contest credit. It's also going to help people see more benefits early on in their journey, which I'm finding helps people stick it out and be excited about what they're seeing earlier on. We will schedule a group reset in the beginning of October. So if you're going to be talking about that regimen, people can either do that, you know, as soon as they get their stuff, or they can get started on their triplex and do that reset with the group, and / you can be sharing about that through the end of the month. Dive in IPA challenge. If you did the majority of that, go finish commenting and turning your stuff in, because tomorrow and Wednesday I'll be divvying out and drawing for some of the flash prizes on some of those certain days. And for Jessica's jewel call that you will get to be a part of if you completed all of the challenge. And then prayer challenge has started back up. So make sure you're looking out for those and truly dig into that. There's never a bad day to read any of those days. So if you just even search at the top, you know, 21 days of praying for your business, or just, you know, scroll through and maybe there's one that the Lord's trying to speak to you on a certain day that's not the same day, doesn't matter, but pray over your business. I made a post today and I'm serious, y'all. That's not just fluff. I don't do it every day that I sit down to open and scroll. I scroll mindlessly and stupidly on social media all the time. But when I am intentional about asking the Lord to bring people to mind, even if I'm not at my phone, like, Lord, magically make someone appear on my phone. That's not what I'm saying. But y'all, I don't see very many people day in and day out, you know, unless I'm at the grocery store or something. And so social media is the avenue for me in my life right now and in this season, where if there's going to be random people popping up with health issues, it's going to be on social media. And it is crazy when I pray over that, and that the Lord will bring people up, whether it's through birthdays that we're doing with our IPA, or random people that I literally don't see ever will pop up in my newsfeed and be talking about having to go to the doctor for X, Y, and Z, or does anybody have any advice on this? And it's just like, me, I do. I do. Haven't talked to you in a few years, but definitely that help. Okay. I love you guys. This was an hour, and you're troopers for sticking in with this for this song. It's worth it. We love you. Don't sleep on the rest of this month. It is not over. And this contest lasts for 4 months, but don't sleep on these double credits. Let's go. Yay. Let's go. Let's do it. You guys are awesome. I'll post the recording so we can share with our friends. Good night.